welcome to My Money Method, this week's start of the week, 15th of June. Scanning of the dollar index and other spot currencies. So today what we're going to start off with is the dollar index, and we're going to take a look at the daily. And if we look at this chart over here, well, we can see from the previous weeks we've had really some strong downward selling, and it's really been a lot of selling, especially the last previous week as we've gone in and starting off now today. Well, it ended off last week pretty much an indecisive candle, but overall we're looking pretty bearish on the dollar index, so looking like it's obviously weakened. And if we go and look at the weekly chart, the same over here. We had obviously an awesome uptrend, and now we've definitely started looking. So this is potentially looking good to roll over. I would probably even say, we could even definitely reach around the 9,400 mark. But overlooking at the dollar index overview, it's looking bearish, more bearish than it would be on a bullish side. So if we go and take a look at some of the other spot currencies now, and we go and take a look at euro to the US dollar. To be honest with you, this is really not showing a heck of a lot in terms of what's going on over here. We've actually had some uptrend, a bit of a downtrend, but more so to me, it's really this area over here is really a bit of indecision. It's not really telling me a heck of a lot in terms of on the daily candle. If we go and look on the weekly, we're going to see pretty much the same over here. Yes, there was a bit of a down selling there. For that week, we came over here, there's been a bit of rejection, a bit of ups, but overall it's not really telling me where we are. More indecision than anything else. We've had strong downward pressure on the euro. That's obviously if you look at the two currencies and the two countries, or should I say the euro compared to United States and what's been going on. The United States have been doing pretty well, and that's why the euros have been struggling a lot, obviously with the Greek crisis going on the Greek, what's happening in Greece, leading to a lot of these problems with Greece paying back its debt, so on and so forth. That has a bit to do with this, but we don't really look at mainly the fundamentals. We look at the technicals of what's going on in the markets more so than the fundamentals. And yes, there's been a lot of downward pressure on the euro, but really where we started to slightly have a bit of an uptrend over here, going up, but really in the last few weeks it's been more indecisive than anything else looking at these markets. And once again, the monthly charts pretty much are telling me the same. It's not really concise on where we're going to go next and how things are going. So the euro to the US dollar, not telling me a lot at this point in time. If we go now and look at spot cable, the British pound to the US dollar, well, this is telling me, when I'm looking at these charts and I'm comparing it against the other charts, it's looking quite bullish. In the fact, we've obviously previous weeks we've had a lot of downward pressure, but the lately we've got a higher low, higher high, and we've coming down into the moving averages over here. Potentially, it's looking, if we also compare our other time frames, we've seen over here as well as bullish market, and I'm looking to see on the weekly if price is going to break the previous week's high, and if it does, potentially we're looking quite bullish on the upside, really to get to about the 1.57, even potentially around close to the 1.58. So in terms of the British pound cable, as we call it, that's looking like quite a bullish market to me if I were going to be comparing. And it kind of goes in on the dollar weakness and what's happening with the dollar index. It kind of fits in, but definitely the British pound to the US dollar, known as in cable, that's looking to me across multiple time frames as looking at pretty bullish at this point in time. If we then move on to the US dollar to the Canadian dollar, well, that just shows more of a bit of a downtrend over here. So it kind of fits in with the dollar index, as in the US dollar losing strength against the Canadian dollar. And if we look at the daily, as you can see over here, it's definitely downtrending. It's pulled up. And I would be looking at, although today being the 15th of June, we've had a nice bullish, it's looking pretty bullish, this candle, but I'd still say the overall picture is looking to be bearish compared to multiple time frames. If we look at the weekly, it's had strong selling. It's pulled back into the moving averages, and it's looking potentially that it could roll over to go further down. My MACD and relative strength index RSI is in agreement, which we call it as convergence. So we are converging with the indicators, and the monthly chart, if we go and look at that, well, it's showing a bit of, we've got a bit of the candle over here is looking kind of bearish at this point in time, but I wouldn't say that the monthly chart's telling me a heck of a lot, but definitely the daily and the weekly is, and it's telling me more the momentum to go on the downside. However, I'm definitely not going to be placing any trades at this point in time. What I would be looking at this point in time is if price, just definitely watching this candle today and see where it goes and what it does. And I would potentially be looking, if it was going to confirm my bias on the dollar weakness, going down, so it's looking bearish, that it would break the low of the previous week's candle, which was on Friday. So I'll be looking for it to break this low. If it doesn't and continues to go bullish, that's going to slowly start to change my view of what's taking place on this currency, and then I'll be becoming a bit indecisive. But I'm definitely not going to be placing any trades at this point in time on the US dollar to the USD to the Canadian dollar, but overall sentiment is bearish for that pair. If we go to the US dollar to the Swiss franc, we're looking pretty bearish, and it fits in quite nicely once again with what's happening on the dollar index. And if we go and look at the weekly, once again we're coming down here quite nicely. Small candle, looking for it to break the low of previous week on previous week on the 8th. And if it breaks the low of this, I would definitely say it's confirming that the US dollar could keep losing its strength against the Swiss dollar. So overall sentiment on that pair is looking quite bearish. And if we move on to the last spot pair for today, it's the US dollar to the Japanese yen, and this pair is looking quite. I would say really on the daily we've had some really strong upselling, but we've had a very strong pullback at this point in time, and it's looking like overall, although we've pulled back over here, it's quite a far pullback. It's broken. I will be waiting to see if it's looking for more on the bullish side for it to continue to break the high of the previous on the June the 12th, the previous daily candle on June the 12th. I'll be looking for it, and it's on its way up there, but I'll be looking to confirm that with breaking that, and there's potentially something going on where we may be looking quite bullish against the Japanese yen. So overall trading plan really for the dollar index and some of its spot currencies, but mainly looking at the dollar index, is overall trading plan for this week is to continue monitoring it. If the dollar index breaks this low over here, there's potential trades on lower time frames, maybe on the 4 and 8 hours, where we may be looking to enter in on the markets. On the bearish sentiment, so dollar index looking quite bearish overall. If we're looking at at all the time frames that need to be in agreement with each other, that my overall trading plan for the dollar index is looking more bearish, which would mean that I would certainly be looking for potential trading levels coming down to this 9400 mark over here for the dollar index, and potentially further on, but at least to this point over here as a first port of call, if you would like to call it that. And the sentiment overall is definitely on the bearish side, and I would potentially be looking at lower time frames, perhaps the 4 and 8 hour, to look for setups on the bearish side. And that would be my trading plan for the dollar index. and really, yeah, the outlook for the week ahead. So happy trading, everyone, and look forward to speaking to you next week. Okay, thank you. Bye.